What's up, chickens? It's your pal Sal, here from Haha Yeah, live from the Haha Yeah recording studio. My house, my room, alone. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's going to be a little different this week. We're going to kick the show off with some excellent bits from our archive. Some old stuff that just didn't make the cut before, but are still really up to our standards, and we're excited to share them with you. The middle portion of our show is going to be a little bit serious this week. My family and I received some scary news regarding the health of a loved one a few days before our recording session. And so a lot of our conversation sort of centers around processing the kind of fear that comes with news like that. So we're going to be sure to lead in with a content warning. That might be a little too intense for everyone. But then we'll close out with a fun little bit that we think you'll like. So thank you so much for tuning in, and here we go.
Hey, you know what? I keep it sweet, baby.
Can't deny, I can't stay mad at you because you keep it sweet.
Yeah, I do keep it sweet. Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
All right, Starbucks brand. Uh-oh. We've got a lot of options left on the table. We have coffee, we've got Frappuccino, we've got iced coffee, we've got Frappuccino. We serve little baked goods. Ariana Grande had a thing.
Right.
We're Starbucks Coffee. What can we even do next? Where's the money coming from?
The Game Jacks. Sort of like the game. The Game Jacks is kind of where it's going to come from.
You think so? There's a lot of money on the line here.
Right, yeah.
This is crunch time.
Right.
Coffee rust has taken over completely, and Starbucks needs to make a hard pivot.
Right.
Where are we going?
We're going to be so fine. So you go to the Starbucks drive-thru, and you're like, oh, can I get a little sort of, and whatever it is you want, and there's like, okay.
I want a little pumpkin spice cold brew.
Right, and the person there's not even listening. Their headphones are off. They're just like, whatever. And then you pull up, and you get a little cup, and it's really just water and Jacks from the Game Jacks.
And I drink it.
And you can, you can try, and they're not going to come out of the lid.
Just coughed up. Oh, it was a Starbucks Jack.
Tastes like nickel. But it's just metallic.
There's one rubber ball floating at the top.
yeah. But then it's like when you're finished, you have a fun game you can play.
I actually do like that, but it's not. Maybe we expand beyond Jacks. I think that it's irresponsible to stop at Jacks. Puzzle pieces in water.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know
I love puzzle pieces, and they're not
pachinko balls in water.
Yeah, for sure. Individual bingo balls. If you drink enough of it, you can get a whole game of bingo through it.
Absolutely.
No, you're not gonna get the cage, but you'll get all the balls to play bingo.
We're gonna stop at Chuck E. Cheese and clear out the low tier prizes. Put them in some hot water. Serve them up to our favorite customer.
Ooh, let me just take a delicious little sip of my favorite Starbucks. Oh, what is... Oh my god, it's one of those little sticky hands that you throw at the wall.
Just cough up a marble onto the table.
Yeah, so I think it's the Game Jacks for Starbucks, and I think that they're going to make a...
Get
this number? $1 million.
Wait, let me write that.
Yeah, write that one down. Here, I'm gonna write a number on this piece of paper. Okay. I'm gonna slide it to you, and you're just gonna tell me how that sounds for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the sound of my glasses breaking at the size of that number.
That's the sound of $1 million there, baby.
Ching.
Ching. Money in the bank. Huh.
So you've answered one half of the equation.
Okay.
One is what we're serving up. What do we do with thousands of physical brick and mortar locations across the country?
Sleepaway camps.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Couple bunk beds. Fire.
Right, yeah. Real fire. Couple bunk beds, some logs.
Get Timmy, Tommy, and Chucky in there.
Yeah, just get someone wearing a beige shirt, beige hat, and kind of just tell them
all right, kids, today we're doing we're in Starbucks coffee.
Make a sort of hand turkey.
Make a hand turkey. Don't forget to meet your daily Jacks quota, because we got people lining up at the drive-thru.
They're making the Jacks in there, and I think it sounds easy.
I was about to say they're jacking them. We're not doing that.
But yeah, it's sleepaway camps.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it sounds good.
What's a business?
Bullshit. Fucking made up cockamamie nonsense, garbage, trash. Fucking honestly what a business is, it's a bunch of people lying to each other, and they all believe it, and they all also simultaneously know that they're lying to each other.
Yep.
A business is a fucking font that everyone agrees looks bad, but everyone says looks good because they think that other people will think that it looks good because everyone else says they like it.
Yep.
A business is that shade of blue-gray that nobody's ever cared for.
Yep.
It's a logo that is just arrows that point at each other, and like somebody doing like their one hand is kind of up and the other one is down, and they are completely expressionless.
Right.
It's a vector image. It's a sign that is on fucking plastic board and reused for 5 years, and it's never mattered, and it never will.
I couldn't put it any better myself.
A business is stupid, bullshit, idiocy, nonsense.
Correct.
But it's also implicitly violent. So it's worse than stupid.
Wow. Any thoughts on this whole radio thing?
Radio! Well, it's the newest innovation ever to hit the streets. Boy, open your window. What do you hear? The sounds of the music of other people. Wow, it's an amazing and new innovation here from our industries. We've been able to create a new radio sensation for you today. Ooh, if you open your special little sounds, you can hear the sounds of the voices. Ooh, it's my special little... I'm Radio Boy.
You're the radio boy.
I'm Radio Boy. I'm the number one little boy of the radio. Ooh-wee. Listen to my famous incantations on the microphone. Ooh boy, I've enchanted a whole nation with my wiles and charms. I'm Radio Boy.
This is really you.
Buy my radios,
This
though.
is the real you.
People want to have it before hyperlink. Now it's this. It's Radio Boy. I was born into a radio, and here's where I'll die.
You know what? It's a beautiful sort of fuzzy place for you to be.
Radio. There's ads.
Yeah, and they're all like, would you like to buy a little bit of bubble gum?
Would you like to buy a little bit of bubble gum? Hi, I'm Radio Boy. If you're hankering for a smankering of your gums, there's a brand new taste sensation. It's called Big League Chew. Are you too young to chew fucking tobacco? Do you want to pretend like you can be your favorite baseballman, Lou Reed, and chew your big ass whip of chewing tobacco? Well, guess what, child? Here's your new taste sensation. It's fucking Big League Chew. Available at Dick's Sporting Goods still today. It's Big League Chew. You know, like fucking loose tobacco.
I'll buy some today. I'm pinching my own cheek. It's so sweet.
Dog, I'm pinching my own fucking cheek. I'm so sweet.
You're looking sweet as hell, dog.
Dog, you're looking sweet as hell. You want some fucking chewing tobacco?
Yes?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm on the IKEA website right now, and I'm buying our bunk bed. Will you want the top bunk or the bottom bunk? And instantly, we are taking the top and bottom jokes, and we are putting them in a little cardboard
That's
box.
its own IKEA website.
That's its own IKEA website. We're putting those in the box labeled childish things, and we're kicking them out the door.
Get out of here, stupid, sexy, childish things. Instantly, it's the bottom bunk.
Really?
Oh, fuck yeah, it's the bottom bunk.
Wait, why?
I mean, unless you pee yourself, the bottom bunk is always the superior choice. And I'll tell you why. I've had my fair share of wonder at being near the ceiling.
Hold on. Why is it better if you pee yourself and you're on the top bunk?
I'm saying it's bad. Okay, but that's the thing. Because if you pee yourself, I'm making you sit on the bottom bunk so it doesn't soak through.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, wait. So, wait. So you're saying, including a scenario in which you have peed yourself.
No, I am not peeing myself at all in this scenario. I have complete control of my bowels. I'm putting that in the childish thing box. It was never a problem. It was never a problem for me. Total control over the bladder, not an issue. But what I'm trying to say is this. First and foremost, why are we getting into your pee habits? And let's talk about mine. The reason I want the bottom bunk is because I get up to pee a lot in the middle of the night. And I'm not clambering down. To me, it's like a very simple calculation. It's ease of pee, or enjoying being 6 inches from the ceiling. I've spent my time up there. I know what it's like to be aloft and asleep. It's kind of awesome, but I've done it. I've seen it. I've slept it. Been there, done that. To bring your pee into it, if you are in the top bunk and you are known to pee yourself, as children are wont to do, then I'm shifting you. I'm making the executive decision for the both of us as roommates, as friends, as best buds, to make you sleep on the bottom bunk. So if you pee, it goes on the ground and not on me.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now I understand the way that you break that down.
Yeah.
Here's my perspective. First of all, from a purely abstract point of view, the idea that an obstacle between you and your bed is a fucking ladder is very silly.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the idea you have to clamber up and down a vertical height to kind of just get to where you're sleeping. Very monkey-like, it's very silly.
It's cute, I like
But
it.
I am entranced by the idea of sleeping mere inches from the ceiling. To me, that's an incredibly exciting idea.
Yeah.
I love how, feels like you're in, like, a little cave. Okay, you ever watch these,
So I just want to say I get that. I feel that.
Yeah, that's super real.
I have voiced, judgment around the cave situation and, some distrust about the cave in an early episode. But I get it is a cozy situation.
For sure. So, wait, maybe we already talked about this, but, you ever seen those, architecture shows where it's, they have the room in the house where it's okay, here's your normal bedroom, and it's separated out, and you can do the things you want to do outside of your sit in a chair or drink a cup of coffee. But then it's a little hovel And then you kind of like crawl in,
yeah.
and then that's like your little den.
Okay, that is really good.
I love that.
I could totally. You are like so into that you're almost horizontal.
Put me in the den.
And I'm fucking loving it.
Put me in the den.
I totally agree. I think really, again, it's a dollars and cents and urine situation for me. I'm just doing the calculations. I will say that one of the most magical experiences of my young life was, going off to like Jewish sleepaway camp, and like it's just like a room with like 7 or 8 bunk beds, and then there's 2 levels of hang out and play. There's the lower level and there's the upper level, and the upper level is that much more rowdy. It's yapping off. People are flicking cards at each other. Everyone's having a great time. Honor that, love that, adore it. Not only is that all of a sudden a den for you to clamber into, it's a multiplayer den. Everybody's in there and they're all on their own little level, and you can like spy each other. You're like, hey man, hey.
The cross-level eye contact to joke.
Oh my god, so critical.
The scenario.
Okay, first of all, let me just honor, like, we're talking a lot of shit about relative position and the ability to sleep and the ability to pee. What we have not talked about is the lights come off and we are giggling until 4 in the morning.
Oh, there is some heavy giggling going on.
That is some serious laughing.
There's some like, shut up. Bro.
Even though we like live it, we're like adults. I love the idea.
Just fully 28. Bro. They're gonna fucking come in your dog.
I have to go to work tomorrow.
I have like an 8-hour meeting tomorrow.
The best person at any sleepover is the person who's like, can you keep it down? I'm trying to sleep.
Guys, this is not funny anymore.
That's the best.
We have a big day of being at camp tomorrow.
I love
I'm getting on the fucking banana boat tomorrow. You guys, shut up.
I'm telling the counselor.
I'm telling the fucking counselor. I'm gonna when Jeremy wakes up tomorrow, I'm gonna fucking talk to him about this stuff.
I like Jeremy already.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Jeremy. I'm here to let you know that abstinence is really still cool.
That's awesome. It's 3 a.m. and I'm trying to sleep.
If you have any questions about being a heterosexual male, please come talk to me.
Jeremy, you seem really cool. Abstinence seems awesome, but these guys are fucking around and throwing cards at me all night. I'm trying to sleep.
Whoa, that doesn't sound like very respectful of everybody's space.
Jeremy's okay.
That's a total Jeremy thing to say.
That's such a Jeremy thing.
I would say that I'm really into like respect and Battlefield 2.
Okay, maybe we're splicing our Jeremys here.
We got a dual Jeremy situation?
We got a dual, yeah.
Which one will you shoot?
Here's the thing. You're just like too queer and cool to like generate a bad Jeremy.
Yeah.
Your Jeremy was just sweet and respectful and kind. Until you brought Battlefield 2 into it, and immediately I was like, oh god, late nights of Monster Energy drink.
I think Jeremy means well, just has a limited life experience.
Every Jeremy I've known has been a fucking little bastard. A little freak who would eat grass.
I think I've only ever known hot, older Jeremys. You know what I mean?
I would like to meet a hot older Jeremy.
When I was like on the swim team,
yeah,
the coach was like a hot older Jeremy.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Alright, that's good.
It's really good. I did not know that I was gay, but I did know that I liked Jeremy.
On a certain level, that's real good.
That's really good.
That is really good. Still not, like, even the not knowing, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, growing up, hard times.
Hard times.
You gotta be on the top bunk. You know, you gotta pee all night. You gotta make a lot of noise.
I learn about that. But there's like a mythology of learning.
Yeah.
That is like exciting to live.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to the booth, babies. Cells here, ready to lead you into a bit of a more serious conversation about trauma and grief. We hope you enjoy it. We felt it was important to include this conversation because, well, we want this show to be a space where we practice some radical honesty, where we can really be ourselves, and we wanted to honor that. So I hope that you find this conversation as beneficial as I did. It was super, super cathartic. And hopefully, in case you're going through something like this yourself or have gone through something like this, we hope this can be a space of catharsis for you too.
It's like I'm sitting here and it's like, even my bosses don't know how I feel right now.
Well, I mean, especially not your bosses.
Well, no, but like these are people who ostensibly, okay, that's perhaps what I was trying to highlight is like older people. People who are older than me.
Yeah.
There are people twice my age who don't have to worry about this. Not that like being twice my age right now, being 46 would not like necessarily give me the tools and make me equipped with it. But you expect at 46 that folks have a certain extra oomph.
It just, I think it's part of like the great bullshit of like the mythology we were sent about like what it means to grow up.
Right.
That like
you're hyper competent and you know all the tools. And you
or even like basically competent.
Right.
And that like everyone around you isn't like a fucking idiot.
Right.
You know? And that like...
Well, I mean, it's not like being an idiot. It's just like not It's just that we don't talk about like death, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like I had a thought earlier this year where it was like, if I feel like as if like if we lived in a society, if we lived in one that was different from the one that we live in now, if we live in a society like that where death and dying aren't siloed off, like the way that we live now, like people who die, like you go to the hospital and that's like the clinical zone where dying happens. And then you're like shuttled into a basement and like you're never heard from. Even your family members like may or may not see you at that point. You are just in a basement and cold, and like the next person who sees you is like a funeral director who cleans you up and does whatever. And then like the next time your loved ones see you is like in your death box, you know, in your coffin, ready to go back to that sweet earth. And like, you know, I'm not trying to say that like people need to like be banned burying their loved ones and preparing them for death, but like that is a real separation. Like that's a real border between like your experience of life and your experience of death. And it's like if we lived in the kind of society that like you were around even older people, if you were around, if death wasn't so like alien, I mean, it's an alienation, right?
It is an alienation.
It's like a total. I mean, it's an alienation from yourself because that death energy is latent in you. There's a death potential in all of us, right? As much as there's a life potential, and like it feels like there's like a significant chunk of like every human being's experience. I don't care who you are or where you're coming from. Like that is going to touch your life at some point, unless you like die very young, but then it touches the people around you, and you'd almost want to like be comfortable in the fact that like the people around me are prepared for my death, even if nobody else has died around them. Because like, okay, so then this is the point. You reach like 55. There's a chance an aunt or an uncle, a parent, a cousin, like their death has like touched your life in some way. And I don't want to imply that like it makes things easier the next time somebody close to you dies, but at least you have the vocabulary for it. And I feel like you like where I'm sitting, I don't have the vocabulary for it, except to like sit there and be like somebody I care about, where I'm at, like they're real and they're also not real. Like it's, and like I'm real and I'm also not real. But there's like intense devotion and love and care that goes in both directions. But like I have all these like, you know, fun little predilections for concepts of like there is no real self and it's all construction, and like, you know, even identity is all mushed together and all of these things that are like constructs that I can actively queer. But that doesn't feel malleable. You know, the connection between me and somebody who I care about who is like possibly going to be touched by death is it's a totally different, like that is concrete. There's no alienation there. You know, there's no soft squishy thing to like intellectualize and play around in. Like that's real. And I don't have the language for it. And I feel if I did, I'd be able to, you know, I'd probably still be upset, but I wouldn't be like as emotionally volatile as I've been.
You could at least have like the foundation to begin working on your own understanding.
Right.
But instead you're just completely alienated and lost in a sea of incredibly intense and confusing emotions with nothing to weigh them against.
And like what almost like feels like it's multiplied by is the feeling that like there's like it's the same pressure that like some might call like FOMO. Like I feel like I talk to people and they're like, so are you going on dates? I'm like, do you have any idea? Do you know about your death potential? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, and like at the same time, I feel that. And like, you know, I went to the eye doctor today and we're like chatting and having a nice time because I could be friendly. They were friendly. And like, you know, that's still there. You know, like it didn't go away, even though I was like having fun and laughing, and like it's just, and that's why I feel like again, like it's where I'm living with it now. Like I have yet to like have death be part of life for me until this moment.
Yeah,
and it's just something that I'm like coming up against with external pressure to like just keep smiling and be happy and shitpost and have fun. Shitposting has been a cool outlet for some, you know, angst there. It's sitting in a not knowing. It's sitting in like beginning to approach that point. Because where I'm sitting at right now is like there's a chance everything is fine. It's an outside chance, but there's a chance. And so like what this is me sitting here as like a sensitive person who is removed from this experience distance wise, where it's like, okay, I need to start approaching these feelings in case they come, you know? So like on some level, like if anything, it's heightened being alive for me in a huge way. And it's made things that ordinarily would be annoyances completely intolerable. Work especially, where it's like, you want me to do this, but like, I'm like I could fall asleep feeling grateful and wake up feeling total despair at the human condition. And I vacillate between gratitude. All of a sudden I'm sitting here and it's like every single day, like, you know, they talk shit about every day being a blessing, but it is. And it feels, you know, I'm irony poison. It feels weird to say that, but like, I mean, on like a very basic level, like there's nothing that thrusts you into yourself than that knowledge that like it can be gone.
Right.
I don't know. Like I almost feel like if it was a sure thing, I could at least process and like move through that. Like I feel like I've read enough. I've like, you know, maybe death hasn't touched my life in the way that I wish it was intimately entwined in our modes of life, you know, in our beautiful unitary situationist future where everything happens all the time with a pure experience of time. That's not how it is right now. It's segmented into pieces. But I feel as if like I've read enough literature about loss to be like, okay, like I read I can't believe I'm bringing up Reddit again. I read a Reddit post that was like, the way it's going to feel is like being lost, like trapped in like a storm-driven sea. And the waves are going to keep coming, but eventually like the waves come further and further apart. And what's going to happen is at first, everything that you see and think and feel and smell and breathe is going to remind you of this person, and a wave is going to crash over you every single time. And eventually it's going to like be smaller and smaller, but until the point where everything more or less is the same, except you'll like run into, you know, one experience, smell, touch, taste that will remind you of them, and it'll come right back, and it always will. That seems real to me. I can conceptualize that. I mean, as somebody who is sensitive, I can conceptualize like feeling upset, you know, because something reminds you of a memory or whatever. Like I can at least integrate that into my worldview. I'm sitting here like I myself am between life and death. You know?
Well, I mean, you are.
I mean, I really am, even though it's not my own.
It doesn't matter. You still are.
Right. I literally am. That leads us back to like being subsumed into yourself again, right? Where it's like there is no real you, and you are everybody that is around you, because we are, right? And like now I am the slept one. I don't know. All I know is that it's hard, and I'm making space for myself to feel that, and I'm trying to be very conscious of not shutting down and not self-isolating and not alienating, and at least doing something small every day that is good.
It's really good.
You know, as you know, perhaps 2:00 me would have hated to hear that, but like I have to stick to that, you know, just because of like how volatile it's been.
I hadn't considered how bullshit it was that we have no cultural ground to step on when experiencing like universal shit like this.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. I almost wonder like there's like I mean, again, we're approaching this as cosmopolitan, secular, you know, individuals. In Judaism, every Saturday morning when you go to you know, the synagogue for shul, for like, you know, the Sabbath, the celebration of the Sabbath, there's a moment where they do what's called the mourner's Kaddish, where like folks in the community who are experiencing loss are asked to stand, and the entire like congregation prays together for that person. But even then, like I remember, like, you know, I don't go to that often. Maybe I'm not, you know, the high holidays and stuff. But I remember like being like 13 when you go often for your bar mitzvah, and sitting there, I'm like, you are isolating them. Like, who's comfortable like going up to these people afterwards and being like, I saw you were sat in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they're asked to stand, and like everybody prays for them, and it's like, yeah, like we're all that, like, okay, that moment is amazing. That moment of like every single person in your community tapping into thousands of years of tradition of ritual mourning and like bringing you into that fold and connecting you with all of that ritual, that thousands of years of ritual, and like you as a community and you as an individual who's in mourning, that's amazing. But where's the community? Where is like the lived experience of that? That's a moment of ritual, and that can't be discounted. But that's one moment in your week, and your experience with that goes on.
The more that you talked about that, the more my perspective changed on it. Because obviously I'm an outsider.
Sure.
My first thought was that sounded really cool.
Yeah.
Because I thought about like when you're in a moment of like extreme sorrow. Mm-hmm. My experience of that is sometimes you just want like to be able to have that moment of standing up and being like, I feel like fucking shit. This is absolutely horrible. And just to have like everyone you know like acknowledge that and be like, that really fucking sucks and we're all here for you. Like that moment is really powerful. But also you're right, like that is one moment.
Yeah.
And that moment is powerful, but like what
you go home.
You go home.
You sit on the bus.
And like where is the community?
Where's the magic in it anymore?
Well, I think there's a magic to the ritualized moment of this is when we stand up and I was once the person in the middle of the crowd acknowledging you and now you're acknowledging me.
Right.
There's a unity there, but it's not like experiential, like you said.
Sure. So like again, to like just the situation has been on my mind because I'm trying to write something lately, but like that ties again into that idea of like it's your everyday life that needs to have a revolution occur. And like this is perhaps a revolution of ritual and magic where it's like, you know, their whole idea was that we don't want to be experiencing time in chunks. We don't want to be experiencing like this is a time for work and this is a time for play and this is a time for sleep, or even micro moments where like this is the time of the bus and this is where I subsume the persona of a commuter and then subsume the persona of a laborer. And it gets small into your intimate moments of when you look at somebody and you're a different person. They want to create a world where your whole life is one long moment, which is actually living, constructing a real situation. To me, it feels like the Mourner's Cottage like is an incredibly powerful moment. I mean, I mean, just so like you know, I've been there myself. Like you know, it is you know whatever thoughts I may have had as a kid where that seems isolating, but it's the whole room gets quiet and then they all chant together. I mean, it's amazing. There's nothing like that. It is truly a magical moment. But yeah, you go home. How are you supposed to bring that with you? You know, how are you supposed to extend that moment when your feelings don't go away? I'm sitting here and trying to think like, how do you construct? So then is it like, as a child, you are expected to spend time in old folks' homes, and so you like, you know, whatever, like maybe you learn from those old folks, and then inevitably somebody might pass away. Or at least you can grapple with the concept of sickness. So then you move forward and you do that Mourner's Cottage, and then you leave and you get on the bus and you still have that idea in your head of like, oh yeah, I'm part of this broader culture where every person around me has an understanding of what loss like that is like. And so like now we're getting into the point where we start bridging magic, politics, personal life. It's I mean, all those things intersect obviously, but I don't know.
Yeah, I for sure don't know.
I mean, if anybody's going to come up with something magic, it's going to be us.
I love getting on my podcast to solve death.
We're not...
All right, podcasters, we got a big one today. Last week was YouTube videos. This time it's death. Oh
Buckle up.
All right, last week was Casey Neistat.
Now put on your binaural headphones. We're getting into it.
It's my 8D death experience.
You can almost hear the suffering.
And that's how it feels.
But I don't know. I just want to be magic every day, dude.
Yeah. We are, but yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's no easy answer. You just talk to your friends when you can, when your feelings let yourself do that.
Right.
This has been really good to talk about.
I'm glad.
I don't know. I mean, on some level, I'm thinking about releasing this. I don't know. I think that like, if my experience makes even one person feel less alone in something similar, it's worth this discussion being broadcast. It might bear listening back on. If anything, I'm glad I have it as a document of my own moment in time. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad to talk about it with somebody who's willing to listen.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad
that.
to hear about it. I really don't know about that.
We can talk about that. That is a macabre term for haha, yeah.
It is, but like it's also how you're sincerely feeling right now.
Yeah. I love the idea of a perfect clarity and honesty. I mean, what is haha, yeah, if not like, I've talked to some people about what it means to them and what it means to me. And I've said that I want it to be a place where folks can like listen to it and chase a little bit of magic in a way that like is ordinarily not encouraged. And I think that what we do here is a form of magic, and it is a form of extremely cool, spontaneous creation.
Of course, I would agree with that.
But like, magic is an intimate thing, and the person casting it, influences it. So I don't know. I'm still down to do some questions and stuff, but I feel that like, yeah, if this episode comes out as it is, or at least truncated, that fits my definition of what yeah could be. So I don't know. I feel like I'm dominating.
You're not at all. You needed space.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could talk about it. Actually, I've been worried about you the past few days. Yeah. It just sucks.
And that's that, my loves. Life keeps moving, and the sun rises tomorrow, and things will be okay. And we'll check back in with you all next week for more haha and yang. But first, after we turned off the mic, Hyperlink had one more question for me that I just had to go off on.
Ask.
How would you describe the feeling of listening to Spiderland to someone who has never heard it before?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it. I think that depending on who you are, where you grew up, and the conditions of how you grew up, the answer would be different every single time. From where I'm sitting, my qualia of engaging with this album, I would put it as like, there's never been an album that like I have to start at the bottom and then work my way up to the poems.
Sure.
Okay, I have to start with a theory. All right, the theory is that it's the only album I can think of that is equal parts abstract and concrete. There's no other album that is so meticulously made and so clearly disciplined in the way that it's been created, and at the same time create something that is so easy for to enter and watch it expand and abstract into space. And a big part of that is because it does a lot of hypnotic, repetitive rhythms, and it's all undergirded by probably the best drumming ever. And what that does is that like it's like as hypnotic as it is, like it still manages to be inventive every single time, and every time you listen you're like, oh my god, I thought it was just repeating, but there's like a whole like extra moment of like a little drum fill that I didn't expect. And so like those concrete pieces allow you to like expand into this total abstraction. So with that being said, like the first time that you listen to Spiderland, like you're going to be sitting there and you're going to be like struck with flashes of image, of memory of when you were a little kid, like learning that things aren't great for the first time. It's going to be like you like learning that like adults don't always get along, and that, things break, and that like, people age, and that the magic and that everything seems to be imbued with can fade. That is like to me, like the bottom feeling of it, because it was made by kids, just little kids. It was made by people younger than us. They were like in their early 20s, late teens when they dropped this album that like is so bent on exploring like the very edge of what it is to like be a young person and like expanding your consciousness into like what it's going to be as an adult, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you want me to... So that's the theory, and now that's like the middle context, and now let's get into the poetic feeling of it. It's like getting lost in a concrete bunker with one room. It's like flapping your fins across the top of a lake in the dark.
and it's like you can hear the thin plap of your translucent little wings splashing against it as it echoes across into like the forest. It feels like when you're walking around with your hands in your pockets under a street light. I mean, the only experience I could think of where it's day is it's in black and white. It's like the only black and white day of the year, and nobody acknowledges it, but it's crackling and it looks like an old film. But it is your daily experience, and you can't name it, and it just is. And then the next day, everything is back to normal. That's the only way I can describe it if there's sunlight on it. It takes place in a world where there is a sun, but it doesn't give off light. It takes place in when you're playing Skyrim and you go into a submerged ship that's been capsized and you enter the dungeon zone. It's that loading screen, and then the first moment when you're in that zone. It is haunting and real and fake and made of dust. There's like one lyric I think that like, I mean, obviously every single lyric is so important, and the delivery of it is perfect, and what things that the music are doing and the things the music didn't do are also important when it comes to lyric. But like, there's one line that really like is very visual for me. Okay, I'm just gonna read the stanza. Good night, my love. Remember me as you fall to sleep. Fill your pockets with the dust and the memories that rises from the shoes on my feet. The image of you walking outside with your eyes closed and there's tears on the edge of each eyelash, and every step dust rises off of your shoe from the ground and up into your nose and lungs and mouth, and then like with every step there's dust and memory that are flooding back to you, and it's like liquid off of your shoes and up into your lungs. That to me is like exactly what the whole album is like. You're kicking up the dust and the memories and inhaling it and walking around in it, and you don't have a flashlight, but you can still see because your eyes are adjusted. It's the perfect album. It's amazing because like you watch the documentary and they're just little pukes. They're just mean little shits to each other. They're little kids. They're just like, yeah, before we made that, like we like, recorded ourselves like farting and stuff, and we put it on our first demos, and like we like, made these signs on our first tour that say like, I'll suck your dick, and put them on like the windows and like showed them to Pat. Like they're just mean little kids, and it's like that only adds to the mystique, in my opinion, that like they were just these freaky kids who were a little weird, who were just fucking around, but they were always creative, and they just like were in their basement and just worked and kept making and just like honing this, and then like they made it, and like 2 days later they broke up. And when the lead singer like checked himself into the hospital, and the documentary that I watched didn't clarify like what kind of hospital or for what ailment, but they just say he checked himself into a hospital. Like that's mystique. The band is gone, and this album is just out there, and like you hear about it through word of mouth, and it comes to you somehow, and it's like you're listening to it, and it's like all of those things that I just described. You don't know all that background context. It's amazing. It really is that cool. I love that album. Every time I listen to it, there's like another little piece of silence that I didn't notice that adds to the experience. It's so good, dude. It's so good. Yeah. That last track, Good Morning, Captain. Oh my God. All right. And today we can thank fucking Mary from internet.com, from mastodon.social. That's not their instance. But like they listened to it for the first time and like mentioned that they were like dancing, and I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like I just want to lurch my butt. Like it's kind of like headbanging, but it's like a little bit more like mechanical. It's like math rock element. I was like, fuck, this adds a whole new dimension. All of a sudden I'm moving to it, and it's even better. It's just so good. It's so good.
I knew you were gonna kill that, and then you just killed it.
It's been on my mind a lot.
The Skyrim loading screen and the first moment in the level. It's like, come on.
That's what it's like.
God.
I mean, maybe that's just because Skyrim is so tied up with that moment in your life.
Perfect.
It came out
sometimes you say some shit that's so sell, and then it's just like, damn, that's exactly what I needed to hear. I knew it was gonna be that.
I just feel things deeply.
You sure do.
I do.
That fucking rips, dog.
Thank you. I'm glad we recorded that.
Hell yeah, me too.
Woo! All right. This has been haha yeah. I'm gonna cut this.
Shit.
This show is a proud member of the Mastodon Podcast Network.